smashing sound, and then there was a pause for about a split second, and then there was like a scream or two, and then everyone just ran. Everybody. There was mass chaos.
Screen, the smoke, the black smoke and fire.
Hijacked, and there are indications that it may have been a Boeing 767 out of Boston.
Just like a train rumbling for maybe like 35 seconds, and then there was like this pause, and then boom, hit with all the dust, and it was black. I mean, pitch black. I don't know if anybody could have survived being on the street at that time.
Truck right there. Right there.
You can see the black smoke billowing out of the side of the Pentagon. It continues to billow out and cover much of the skyline here along the area, drifting along the Potomac River, casting a haze all over the Pentagon area.
It didn't look like there was a plane at all. It was just obliterated when it hit the ground.
He told me he was putting a plan together that he and others were going to take back the airplane. And he said, you know, Dina, I think we can do it. It's up to us.
And we will strive now very hard to save as many people as possible and to send a message that the city of New York and the United States of America is much stronger than any group of barbaric terrorists.
All of the suspects right now that I know that the U.S. is looking at are in the Middle East. And frankly, we have to put Osama bin Laden at the top of the list.
You're potted up.
We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
We've got to do something now and do it immediately. I mean, we're entitled to some semblance of security, some semblance of rationality, and I think that all died in New York. I've been in the city for years, and I've never heard it as silent and as sad as I've heard it tonight. This city is in shock, and unless you're here tonight, you don't quite comprehend it.
Well, good morning. This is Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, and that was our tribute for September 11th. And as always, we want to pay our respects to the many, many first responders and people that lost their lives on this very day. Gosh, how many years ago now? It's
19.
19, yeah.
It's been 19 years.
19, it was 01. Just hearing that, Pat, really just gave me chills, even now, 19 years later. Because I remember...
Yeah, it just brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah, I remember watching that on TV going, what the heck is going on? And I've actually got a past client that lives in Austin now, but he used to work for TPD, and he was a head of the police union, did a lot of really great things for that organization, and he was an NYPD person that worked directly with the mayor and all kinds of stuff, and his story is pretty crazy. It's just I'll share it quickly, but he was working for New York City Police Department, and he basically was supposed to be going on vacation about a week or so, whatever, before, and they said, no, you can't go. You gotta push it back. So he was really annoyed that they didn't let him take his vacation when he was ready. And he said, that's it. First flight out tomorrow. I'm leaving. I'm not gonna be here. I'm leaving. And so he literally, he would have been on one of those flights. And it was technically the second flight. He told them that he was going on the first flight. But if he had been on that first flight, he would have been one of the people that, we would have lost. And so the crazy part of the story is, of course, he, turns on the news, figure out what's going on, ends up going back to the city. So he does what most, of course, high-end police officers in that rank would do and, try to go into the city to help, try to find the mayor, try to make sure everything's okay. And literally they weren't letting anybody on. They weren't letting anybody on the island or, in through New York. And so literally some of the people that he worked with, when they saw him, you have to keep in mind there was like smoke and haze and there's, all this craziness going on. It's like something from a movie. And they see him and they think he's on the first flight out and they literally think he's dead at this point. So they see him, coming up there and they're like, oh my gosh, we thought you were dead. So it's a little bit surreal for some of the people that were living that because they're like, am I really seeing you? Am I in a dream? So his stories are incredible. And as a matter of fact, his retirement photos, you see him like dressed in a black suit with Mayor Rudy Giuliani and like a whole line of really high-end NYPD people. Both of the Twin Towers behind him, because of course this was pre-9/11. And so he ended up staying on a little bit longer for NYPD after this happened, and then ultimately came to Tampa to be TPD here, and now lives in Austin. So it's incredible the people that we meet along the way, because you get to meet people that either lived in it, were part of it, really well connected to it, and it's, you know, their stories are very different than what you might see or hear on the news. So good morning, Leo. A little bit quiet this morning.
No, I just remember back to the first time that I went to New York after 9/11, and the memorial had been finished, and you see what they did was a great thing with the memorial, because you still have the footprint of the buildings themselves. So, and then surrounding the building is the plaque, the memorial plaque with the Wall of the Fallen. But it's just amazing when you see how big the buildings were, because they turned it into a park, and you just see this huge void that's in the ground, and you can actually get a true glimpse of that, like a grasp of how big the building itself was, just from a footprint, not even saying it goes up like, 110, 120 stories.
And they technically look smaller when you're just looking at it like that. You know what I'm saying?
It's massive. It doesn't look small at all.
But you know what I'm saying? When you walk into like an empty property, or like they're just building the block and the foundation, it looks smaller than it actually is. So
then that would make it ginormous. I mean,
right.
It was just these huge, and it's really pretty, and it actually brought tears to my eyes. And actually, after I was working for a county government at the time, but then the job I took with the company after, they were headquartered in that building at the time. So a lot of my coworkers back then had stories of people who they lost, and friends and colleagues, and it's just very sad. So when I actually went to New York and saw the memorial, I was just like, I couldn't contain myself.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so one thing, just to kind of like, you know, spiral it up a little bit, tomorrow is Pat George's birthday.
And Vallarta's has never been happier.
Had to go there.
Vallarta's is
Pat,
going to be, is Vallarta's throwing a special party there, Pat?
How do you feel like knowing the day before, like this major event happened the day before your birthday, and like, did it affect your birthday the year that it happened?
Oh, yeah, it most certainly did. There was no celebrating in 2001. It was absolutely, it was not the mood that everyone wanted to be in. And
he had just turned 21.
I just turned, I was close to that.
So happy birthday, Pat. You have control of all of the music, or we would be throwing on a happy birthday song about now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to tell you something. And this is, and Leo is going to appreciate this a lot. He's going to understand what I'm going to say right before we take a break. But Roxanne, and I have been asking, well, people have been asking me, because I really like tequila. Roxanne, for my birthday, bought me a bottle of Don Julio 1942.
Wow.
It's a high-end tequila.
Oh,
and it is smooth.
I have, I've been, every time I bring up tequila, someone says, you ever try Don Julio 1940? No, I can't afford that. And she brought that in this morning. So, and she asked me to do this. She goes, please don't drink it in one sitting.
We still want to see you like next week.
Yeah, it's a sipping tequila.
Come back.
Definitely
It is definitely a sipping, yeah. So
it's so
I'm
smooth.
looking forward to my weekend.
All right, so let's run through the market stats, because we're almost out of time already in segment 1, and we need to get to Chris Wirt in segment 2. He's our guest for the next segment. And these numbers, Leo, I had a chance to look at these before you came in, and we'll roll through what they are, but I'll tell you what I think about them in a minute. I want your opinion, since you're the number guru.
I mean,
I think you got to wait till after the break.
I think I have to wait till after the break. We got the music potting up. What I am seeing here is, I mean, we're going from 1,400 listings last week to 1,000 this week. Our pendings are gone from 1,800 to 1,500. This is normal for this time of the year. This really is normal for this time of the year.
There's another really important factor in these numbers this week that we're missing, and we will cover it very quickly here in segment 2 before we get to Chris Wirt, okay? You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Meadwell, and if you would like to join the conversation or follow us, by all means, want to get some information, connect with us, 813-377-2775. That is our off-air number, 813-377-2775. We'll be back in just a moment. Stick around.
Good morning. Welcome back. This is Leo Kane with Tampa Home Talk on BerylProjectEngineering.com. And I'm joined with Katrina.
Your host with the most. That's me.
I will have my voice at the end of 2 hours.
So
Katrina,
yes.
I have a house for sale that maybe you want to get involved in.
Do tell.
It's the residence at 9927 Griffin Court in Windermere, Florida.
Well, if it's Windermere, I know what the price is. Whose house is it?
Well, it's the third attempt to try to sell this home, too.
Okay.
And, it's 110,000 square feet. It's got 11 and a half bathrooms, 12 bedrooms. It's got a 17-vehicle car garage, a 95-foot swimming pool. It has a NBA basketball court. Are you getting warmer in whose house this is?
I'll never guess. You just said NBA. That means it's a sports.
All right, Chris, who is it? You got a guess?
Oh, no, I don't have a guess as to whose it is, if it's in Windermere.
Shaquille O'Neal?
It's got a private boat. It's on a private dock with a boat on the... home theater, full movie theater.
That's not...
I can look it up, but not when we're on the air, so just tell me.
It's $19.5 million.
Okay.
This sounds familiar, actually. The price sounds
Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
That's what I guessed. I guessed that.
Shaq's house.
Look at that. I wonder where he's moving.
He's going to the Bahamas. He wants to be closer to Shaq
Now,
Week.
Why would you think he would sell that house? What are some of the reasons? To get something bigger?
No, it's not always about bigger. I mean, usually when people want to sell, there's something going on. There's a lifestyle change or something happening that makes them want to move.
Could it be that he doesn't want to pay the taxes on that property anymore?
It could be, but I don't think that's it. All right, so listen, I got to tell you something about the numbers, and we got to get to Chris.
Are they scary? I mean,
No.
Our three numbers are all dropping.
So you're looking at them dropping, but here's what you're missing. The number of new active listings are 1,065, okay? And the number of sold listings are 1,055. But look at the number of pendings.
Which is 1,585.
Uh-huh. And I know you're looking at it saying, oh, but it's dropping next week, or it's dropping from last week, right? But you know why? We have no inventory. There's nothing to sell.
Oh.
I carry literally myself at any given time at least 10 active listings, always.
We've never announced them on the air in the past 4 months.
I know, because we're busy. We always have a lot of stuff covering. We'll get to a couple of them.
That was my favorite part of the show.
Well, we do have a couple. We have a lot that are coming soon, so we've already been hired.
To be a real estate agent, and he tries to hawk listings on the air.
I swear, I've sold a lot. We do. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I've sold a lot. Just by announcing them on the air. Remember 3932 Carrera Court? That open house would have never sold if I didn't say that address over and over again for 2 weeks.
And we sold the other one. Did you remember that one?
No, I always remember my first.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on with the numbers. So the trend is new active listings are only 1,065, but 1,589 went under contract.
Yeah.
So that tells me the junk that's kind of been on the market that people are passing up because they have a bad roof or inspection problems or whatever it is, that they're actually going under contract and scooping them up.
Yeah, we've had several inspections last week that we came back with massive defects on the home, and they're like, well, this is the only home we can
You're going to see more of that. Yeah, we are definitely going to see more of that. All right, so let's run on over to Chris Wirt. Welcome back to Tampa Home Talk. How you been?
Been good.
COVID's not been your friend this year, has it?
Well, we were a necessity. Being
Okay,
pest
good.
control
Actually,
and wildlife.
I have a very important question for you, Chris.
So you weren't here in the studio the last time he was
Yeah, I
here.
was.
You were?
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was a pre-record. Okay,
No,
go
it's a
ahead.
very important question for you. So I discovered last night that I saw an adult female cat exit my crawl space because I don't have the proper screening because it's masonry. And this morning my wife discovered in her little meepers. So I have a family of kittens living under my house with a mother cat. Now, I don't know how old the kittens are, but obviously I need to do I get rid of them? Do I let them live there? Or what is my course of action here? I mean, they're not harming me.
Right. Well,
Let me introduce you first. So Chris Wirt is in the studio with
we should probably
Triple
say
AC
who he
Wildlife.
is.
So he's the one that comes to your house and gets rid of whatever you got going on that shouldn't be there. That's why Leo was asking about the kittens.
Oh, it's direct application.
From no legs to a million legs.
What has a million legs?
A millipede.
That's 1,000.
Well,
if you have 1,000,
so we have no
millipedes.
That's what I'm saying. If you
Centipedes is
have
100.
1,000 millipedes, then you have a million legs, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
But back to my question.
I feel like you got stumped a little bit.
Back to my question about the kittens and the cat. Do I need to look to get rid of them? Should I leave them there? What should I do? What are the dangers of having a family of, I don't want to say feral, but stray kittens living under?
They are feral. And I mean, right now they're offering rodent control as long as you're not feeding them. But if somebody in the neighborhood is feeding them, they're going to rely on that food source, and they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. The whole purpose for releasing feral populations was to help with snake control and rodent control, but instead people decide that they can't live like that, and they start feeding them, and then they become dependent, and then they start feeding raccoons and possums with them.
Sounds like my neighbor that lives 4 houses behind me.
Once the kittens are old enough to leave, if you put coffee grounds down, they'll leave, and they won't come back.
Coffee
like
grounds.
Me, they don't drink coffee.
They don't like coffee, so.
Looks like you're crawling underneath the crawl space.
So you don't recommend that I have them removed? Then you just wait.
I mean, I would. You take a chance of having fleas. You take a chance of diseases, because obviously that cat may or may not have had shots. So you could have distemper. You could have scabies. You could have.
And I have dogs. I also have chickens in the backyard, but the chickens can fend for themselves against a cat.
In some cases.
I would think the cat could catch the chicken. So you
could. Raccoons do it all the time, and they'll eat just the head.
Raccoons do it at night when the chickens enter a state of torpor. So as long as they go into their house and their house is locked up like Fort Cluck's, they're not getting it. We call our pen Fort Cluck's.
I caught that.
But once those are out from under your home, you probably should have that, enclosed. Which we do.
So I call you and I have you come out to my home to trap a family of unknown kittens. What do you do with them at that point?
Well, with kittens or cats, we have to take them to the local animal services, and then they would get TNR'd probably, which is just the neuter or spay. They would get their ear clipped, they would get shots, and then they would actually be released back to the same neighborhood, unfortunately, because we have to tell them exactly where we got that animal.
So pretty much if I had you remove the family of kittens, I'd still have a family of kittens.
They're coming back.
But they'll be spayed and neutered.
So they won't be having other kittens.
I think it might be time for me to invest in some Folgers.
Folgers?
That's part of waking up. Get rid of kittens.
Folgers. Got it. Okay. All right. But so today we're going to talk about bats.
Yes.
It's interesting that's on our list because I've been getting up, doing my morning run. Yesterday I did like over 3 miles. And in the morning when I go really early, and it's dark before sunrise, I think I saw bats like swirling all around me on my run.
Well, that's because mosquitoes are following you. And so each bat could eat up to 10,000 flying insects a night.
Should I be scared about the bats flying around or no?
Well, not really. I mean, they're not. So they do everything by sonar. So it would be like them. They would send out a wave and they would see you, but not actually see you. But you would be a large object to them, like a tree or something like that. So they're not going to fly into you. But if they dive down to get a flying insect that they're tracking, then if you have your hair up or something like that, they could potentially get caught in your hair.
Yeah, my hair is usually up.
Well, I mean,
when I'm running, it's not flying around.
Up like the old Baptist style.
Oh, up high. Okay, yeah. So keep
Mark
it low.
Simpson type.
Katrina, just drink coffee while you're walking in the morning.
Drink coffee. Got it.
But then you won't have cats.
Yeah, no, cats
this
has
is
not
bats,
been.
not cats.
Yeah. So the bats. I take it it's bats because 1, I don't hear any birds chirping. 2, it's dark. And B, I see them kind of doing this.
Well, you'll still hear bats.
Yeah.
Definitely hear bats.
They chatter and they squeak.
Yeah.
But they are
Like
very
rats.
erratic with their
movement, right?
Movement. But then so are chimney swifts. So we get constant calls about someone that thinks that they have bats in their chimney because they see the swift come out and they're small just like a bat, and they're real erratic with their flying and things like that. But in most cases in chimneys, unless it's underneath the chimney cap, then they're not actually bats.
So is there a certain time of year you see more? What do you got?
No, I was saying, speaking of chimney swifts, I was watching a nature documentary. There's a really neat one on right now that takes place at night because they're using thermal cameras and night vision cameras. It's really neat to see how animals act at night, but there's a piece of one in Portland for chimney swifts that there's this one decommissioned chimney that during 2 or 3 times a year, 30,000 swifts will roost in that chimney.
They're amazing. They can hold on to the side of the chimney. They build their nest on the side with like mud and stuff.
On the outside or inside?
Inside.
It's amazing watching 30,000 of them just kind of, it's almost like the chimney was sucking them in as a big funnel. It's amazing to watch that.
And then when they come out, it's even crazier. But if you get up there...
they leave, I guess, when the fire's on, right? They're like...
Oh, yeah.
It's decommissioned. They particularly know that this is a chimney on the migratory path, so the city has decommissioned it, so it's not in use.
It's actually for them.
It's for them.
So are you seeing bats in people's homes?
Yes. Unfortunately, in most cases, they'll live in the soffit. So by code, roofers are allowed to leave a small gap for the soffit area where the soffit meets the roof line. They may call it a weep channel. They may call it a roof to soffit junction, whatever. But a lot of animals get in that way. So everything from rats to bats to raccoons and possums cats. We've taken cats out of attics, ducks. I mean, it's crazy.
Ducks are very messy animals.
They're looking for dry ground, right?
Well, they're just looking for a place to hide
Yeah.
and get away from predators and things like that. But the bats will go in and
we were coming up at a break. The music's gone louder.
Yeah, all right,
there.
so listen.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775.
We'll be back in a minute.
I'm waiting for Adam Talley, who's not here to take us out of the third segment.
He's not here.
No, it's okay. So we're talking about bats and swifts and cats and rats and squirrels, flying squirrels, praying mantises, alligators and swimming pools.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
We don't have that problem here.
So we're here this morning with Chris Wirt, AAA Wildlife, and you've seen a lot of stuff. As a matter of fact, if you guys are watching on Facebook, you'll see he's got this big piece of jewelry on his neck. And what is that, Chris?
It's an alligator tooth.
Legit alligator tooth.
Like 15-footer?
Real one.
12'8".
Precisely.
They round up.
Well, yeah, if I wear the one from the 13'2", it looks like I killed a unicorn. So I can't wear it because I'm only 5'7". So everybody's like, is that a white rhinoceros horn? So, yeah.
So what are you seeing, Chris? You're seeing bats in properties. You're seeing flying squirrels. You're seeing what else?
And a lot of rats.
Rats.
The whole COVID thing, restaurants shut down. They're looking for food. So anybody that's using any type of mulching or decomposition stuff, they're just going in and they're chewing those barrels to get to that food.
Wow.
You see, as we take more and more of nature's environment from nature, they're going to find ways to adapt and live. What I found fascinating by listening to the same documentary taking place at night, they said that night animals that are adapting to the city, or animals that are adapting to city nightlife, they are 30% more active at night than they would be in the wild. And some species have actually completely flipped. Where they used to be day animals, they're now turning into night animals.
Wow.
And we see a lot of raccoons out during the day now because of people feeding the cats. So everybody's like calling saying, I've got a rabid raccoon. And we're like, well, what's making you think that? And they're like, well, it's out eating.
So that was the warning. That was the warning sign because raccoons are night animals, are crepuscular, which means they come out at dawn and dusk. So when you saw a raccoon during the day, back in the day, that meant it was rabid.
Yeah.
But now it's just some crazy cat lady.
It's part of the way it is. So, Chris, what is the cost for wildlife removal? And then what are some of the things people should be listening to? Because like scratching right in the attic is one thing.
Yeah, every cost is different. Just as you guys have home inspectors come in and we do wildlife inspections also.
Okay.
So, like, if your inspector sees a bunch of droppings or something like that, we'll come in and do the wildlife inspection, and we can tell you because we see things differently than some of the inspectors do.
Got it.
Because they're looking for stuff by code. We're looking for stuff where they can still get in.
Well, I don't know that poop is code, but...
No, we're just looking for droppings.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I know the difference between rat, mice, and raccoon droppings. And raccoon droppings are actually very dangerous to humans because of the chemicals in the raccoon droppings.
There's also...
So are you removing the debris too?
We can remove everything.
Okay.
We have been offering free sanitization of the attic with Spot Clean. since COVID started, just because everybody's so worried about the diseases and stuff like that. So we haven't even been charging for that. We've just been doing it for the
Now,
customer.
for your inspections, do they cost, or are they free, or?
It is a service call.
Okay.
So it is $100 for us to come out, and we do everything. We look at everything from the roof to the foundation. We crawl your attic. We look for any tunneling, any chewing, anything in the attic. We take pictures of everything. We're paperless, so it gets sent straight to your email with the pictures of every opening that we find, and what our recommendation is to seal your problem and solve it forever.
And are you doing the work for that too, or just the inspection, the wildlife
removal?
We do all the work
okay. Also.
Great. All right, Chris Wirt, AAAC Wildlife, right? Did I get that right?
You did.
And always fun to have you. We could spend literally hours talking to you with the stories that you have. He's like the wildlife hunter here in Tampa.
One thing you may not know is I was actually a fireman during 9/11.
Oh, you were?
With Hillsborough County. So
that's why you were showing me what you were saying.
Yes.
You should have chimed in on that the first segment.
One of our brothers lost a brother in the trade center that went back. He was off duty, and he went and got on one of the ladder trucks and he lost his brother. We think about him every year at this time. And prayers to him and his family today, because it's a tough day. But it's a tough day for everybody that lived it.
Yeah, absolutely, without any doubt at all. And so I'm going to roll on over to our next guest, because we're running a little bit behind time. But you guys may remember that I have a book that's launching. As a matter of fact, I'm getting a couple advanced reader copies today. And the launch date on that is going to be November 19th. And
The week after the PlayStation and the Xbox strikes.
Oh, look at that. It's a good thing it's not a week before. I'd have some stiff competition.
You're still going to have stiff competition.
So I'm going to introduce one of the other authors that is launching at the same time as myself. Her name's Jennifer Mulligan, and her book is You're the Best Investment. And so talk a little bit about your background, what's in the book, what people can expect. And I'm sure you're equally as excited as I am.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you, and thanks for having me as a guest today. Had the idea of writing a book over the last couple of years and finally mustered up the courage to do it.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's different than someone might think if they've never done it, right?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, very, very therapeutic, and definitely recommend it, and I'm sure you will as well. So for me, it really is a memoir, if you will. Also a component of motivational as well. Some business advice in there, some entrepreneurial spirit that I've had my whole life, and how to really execute plans, and some business recommendations.
Now, your background is what? Business banking?
My background is leadership and banking, finance, for the last 21 years of my life, and
Are you still doing that now? Are you active in that?
I am.
Okay.
I'm right now. I have my own brokerage that I run, and that's been exciting, a new venture for me since COVID hit. And
so, are you doing mortgages or real estate?
Real estate brokerage.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. It's a crazy competitive market right now.
It is,
as I'm sure you know. So you get what I was saying with the numbers.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, what made you want to write the book?
Really a dedication to my family and my daughter, and it just overall encompassed to encourage others in the business world and spectrum.
What's the one thing that you want people to remember or take away from your book?
I'd say mindset, risk-taking, team building, and execution.
And you have quite a few references in your book about cheerleading, right?
Yeah.
And so how are you relating that? How does that apply to business practices?
I've taken cheerleading, so I was a cheerleading coach for my daughter's team for a number of years. And I really took that coaching, relationship building, and teams. And if you think about it, you break it down really simple.
Were these high school cheerleaders?
These were high school cheerleaders, so by the way, guys.
I had a cheerleader since she was 4. I didn't coach. That's a whole different job. But yeah, mad respect for you to try to wrangle that.
So not only did I have the kids, right? I had the parents too.
Yes, which are sometimes worse than the kids.
Yeah, they're the best spectators, right? So really dealing with all the dynamics within a team, and mustering on your strengths. And, I tie that into the book as well.
And so tell me a little bit more about that. Like how does it relate? Like, because I know it's still like let me just back up because I don't want to put you on the spot because I know like even for myself, like it's a process, right? To write it, and then basically you're trying to remember all the details that you put in there because you write it over months and months and months.
Yes.
And then you haven't had a chance, probably like me, to go back and reread it several times.
Yeah.
You're like, it's a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas kind of all put together.
Yeah.
So how do you think that shaped you, like in your business career and, you know, some of the things you do now?
In regards to cheerleading or just in general?
Yeah.
Really, I think the cheerleading component was just a portion of my career in time, giving back, if you will, within a community. I think there's a lot more than just the cheerleading component that I bring out in the book. I bring out a portion called the deposit slip. And that was a fun piece for me. That was really some noble advice, if you will, whether you're a banker or you're stuck in your career and you need some of that motivational, how do you do it? And it kind of walks you through step by step on how to retool yourself, re-engineer yourself as far as career or life goals.
And the premise of the whole book is like getting out of the corporate cave, right?
Yeah.
Like how to leave corporate America and do something else.
Yeah. Yep. Or even take the risk in corporate America, as I would say more so. Take the risk, raise your hand, speak up, make the move, and be your best cheerleader.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the things you see in corporate America where people should speak up, but they don't?
All the time, whether it's, unfair pay, whether it's seeing something that should be spoken about. There's a lot out there.
So when you, one of the sections in your book, you talk a little bit about respect. Mm-hmm. And one of the things to state, you say, always be respectful of each other. If one person is in a bad mood, there's no reason to take it out on another team member. So show them respect they are due. And you find that people sometimes they don't get the respect they deserve when assumptions are made about a situation. They don't ask questions to clear things up like adults. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So this has come up many times, how people will automatically bury, right, and move on without any question, but then it comes right back up. So in the book, I talk about diving in deep and really coming out with the issue and resolving the problem up front, because the chances are, if you don't take care of it now, it's going to pop right back up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's buried and then you don't say anything, but it's still there.
It's going to crop back up, whether that's you disagree with your leadership team or a team member, right? So how do you pull them aside and say, you know what, we're disagreeing with this today. That's okay.
Right.
We can agree to disagree. How do we move forward?
So on chapter 5, you talk about establishing the real boss. So tell the person listening a little bit about that. Do you remember? Oh, it's at Suzette's. I've got a couple authors in the studio with me this morning, so bear with me.
That's okay. I can talk about being a real boss.
So I know. So the joke.
All this and no books to speak.
Well, the joke too with Leo, I got to tell you, because Lisa Marie, we had him in the studio before, and he grabbed the book and he's like, "Yeah, I'll speed read it in like what."
20,
a minute?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds he spit. Wow.
So his claim is he can read the whole book in 30 seconds. So
that's great.
I told him I'm going to pull like some of the hardest questions I can out of my book to stump him and have him speed read it and then see where we land.
So now we have a suite of authors, and I have no books to speed read.
You have no books to speed read yet.
We'll get you
one.
So
November 19th is the big launch.
Yeah.
It's going to be at the Tampa Center Club.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Club. I always mix that up. Mm-hmm. And great venue. We had a chance to go check that out and see where we're going to be. Doing a lot of the advanced reader copies right now. Where can someone buy your book?
You can buy my book, you'rethebestinvestment.com.
And all about corporate leadership, how to think about, just applying that in your everyday career and even going out on your own.
Yeah. And flips and tricks and training the next generation as well as in there as well.
And Jennifer, I totally mixed up your book with Suzette's. I'm sorry about that. And
we handled it.
We'll have a little bit of fun when we come back after the break. And Suzette Phillips' book is Getting Out of the Corporate Cave. So I'll ask the right author the right question when we come back in just a minute. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Good morning. Welcome back. Leo Kane here, Beryl Engineering and Inspection, joined with a suite of authors and publishers and restaurateurs and caterers.
Restaurant? What?
I don't know.
Just trying to just make it rhyme or what?
Yeah, I'm just trying to go for rhymes here.
Okay. So, well, since Katrina jacked up the segment last time a little bit, I would love to just ask you one more question. So I know you were sharing also in the book about how you helped your sister, right, make the decision to buy?
Yes, yeah. So throughout my career, I have done a lot of flip and fix and turnaround, and as I've relocated, I've learned kind of to master the art and the skill, if you will, to understand the real estate world just a little bit. And through banking as well, we do rental wraps, and there's a lot of different things in commercial that I learned. My sister was looking for a home and didn't know, you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's all about leaning on your strengths, even within your own family. And knew kind of what she wanted and helped her negotiate within the contract, and needless to say. So
did she have an agent or not at all?
No, actually, I steered her away from that and said, save the agent fee and let's go in and negotiate based on that. And so we saved the fee, and we're able to negotiate some of that fee that we saved within taking off the price of the home and getting exactly what she wanted.
Was it for sale by owner or?
No, brand new construction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, new construction.
Yeah, sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. I mean, especially with new construction, when they discount the price, it affects the comps, which I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of the builders are not willing to do that. And I mean, we've got one right now that we're negotiating, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
They're building it into extra cost and doing stuff a little different.
Yep.
So, but exciting. Where can people find your book?
www.you'reitheinvestment.com.
Love it. And Suzette Phillips was also one of the other authors that's going to be released with us at the same time. And your book is officially on pre-sale as of today.
Yes.
And so yours is all about getting out of the corporate cave, leadership for the real world.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that. Tell me about your journey writing the book. What was exciting for you? What was your takeaways?
It was more intense than I thought it would be. So, just pouring your heart into it, and then sometimes it's like, no, you can't do this. You want to try to reword it this way, and which is what I expected. But it helps you soul search and just get everything that you've been feeling out on paper.
Yeah.
So it helps quite a bit with that.
For me, my days are pretty long. So Sunday's my only day off. There'd be days I would literally just pound away at the computer by myself. And it would be hours I would go by, getting through a couple chapters. So yeah, I can relate. So what made you want to write a book about getting out of the corporate cave and leadership? So who's a good match for this book?
Anybody, actually, because anybody can be a leader as long as they really want it and they own their role. So it's a really good book for current and future leaders, and it'll help them move along and see some of my wayward ways that I've gone and where I struggled and how I've gone past that.
So you were in corporate America. Where did you work? What was your background?
I worked at a multi-location facility. It was 4 locations, and I was there for 14 years, and I worked through all the different management roles, and the last 7 years that I was with them, I was the COO for the business.
Got it. And so, interesting title, Getting Out of the Corporate Cave. Where did that come from?
Well, that came from
like when you say cave, like where did that...
Corporate America and businesses in general can feel like a cave, because when you're in a cave, you start a fire, shadows on the walls, they look different than what you think. What's behind you on the wall, the shadow coming can be this like horrible monster looking thing, but then when you turn around, it's somebody just doing little finger puppets or something like that. So basically you want to, instead of being in the cave and dealing with shadows, you want to deal with things head on and be realistic about where you are and what you want to do.
So in the book, you're also speaking about the trifecta of leadership?
Yes.
Talk more about that.
Okay, so during, let's see here. Excuse me. There's several different things when you do the trifecta. You want to have courage, decisiveness, and clarity with everything. And I'm a little nervous.
That's okay.
So sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. Just breathe. Just hang out like you're talking to me.
Right.
And don't worry about anything else. I know we've got a really full studio this morning.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of people around. And I asked Jennifer one of your questions. So if you want to go into that one.
Very well.
So well, it's one of your chapters, right? Establishing
yes, it is.
the real boss.
It is. It's establishing the real boss. But during like the trifecta, it's like the realistic thinking and healthy dose of common sense, which does not always grow in everyone's garden.
It doesn't always apply to everybody.
Exactly, and a commitment to be open-minded. When you have these three, you're going to be that trifecta leader. And you notice I'm not saying manager, I'm not saying boss, I'm not saying that. It's leadership. And that's where I think some mistakes happen is people don't realize there is actually a difference between being a manager and being a leader.
Huge difference, yeah. Leo, you can relate to that too, right? I mean,
well, yeah, leaders are going to be more visionaries, and managers are more going to handle operations. And it's tough to have managers who are leaders because leaders are entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because they're the visionary. They're not so organized in the way things have to go. So,
well, they might be, but I mean, it's tough when you try and have your managers become leaders and become visions for the department. Some of them are just best doing operations. Which
leads into another really great point in your book. You talk about strategic thinking. That's a huge one that really, I think all people could spend more time on. I just read this amazing book by Keith Cunningham called The Road Less Stupid. And it's all about strategic thinking and making smarter decisions earlier rather than making dumb mistakes later. He calls them dumb tacks in the book. Goodness. It's great. It's a great read. But chat on strategic thinking real quick. We got just 30 seconds.
Well, you have to be able to look at the entire picture instead of just looking at one piece at a time. So when you're strategically thinking, you're looking at everything. Like your mind has to look at the entire picture. So then it breaks down into the different pieces of the pie, and then you make sure that you're giving it to the right leaders.
Yeah. Great. Where can people find your book?
At www.getoutofthecave.com.
Okay. And listen, if you we'll text you this if you want it. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. You're interested in getting some information or come visiting us on the 19th. Call or text 813-377-2775. Again, 813-377-2775. Love where you live or I'll fix it. Welcome home.